Guys, I'm doing an animation today. Specifically, I'm going to show you guys how I animate things using Blender and how I use things in Blender with grease pencil. And I'm doing a fan animation thing of Jacksepticeye because I love him. And yeah, we're doing a thing. So what I did for the past couple days is I've actually been like messing around with Audacity, and I just took a clip from one of his meme times. It was the thick one where he sings about potato. Oh. I'm taking that sound footage, I remixed it. I don't know a whole lot about audio, so it probably sounds like shit to anybody who doesn't know any better, and honestly, I kind of think it's kind of goofy, but I'm an animation person, so what does it matter? I don't know. I just wanted something to draw to. So that's what we're doing. And let's just jump in. Okay, guys. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to open up Blender, of course, and you're going to choose the 2D animation preset that's right on the splash page when you first open up the program. Then you're going to make sure that you're in object mode, which is the little rectangular button that is in the top left-hand corner of the viewport window. And now we're going to get our reference. To do that, you're going to go to Add, and we're going to add an object, and this object is our empty image. You don't want to choose the image from the left menu. You're going to go into the empty section and choose image from there. If you don't choose this one, if you don't choose the empty image, then it won't let you reference a video. The right menu should be on the green bird foot looking tab. You're going to look for image in that menu, click open, and find the reference footage on your PC. For me, I have to navigate to my F drive. That's where I have my external hard drive, and I just go through my folders and found my reference video there. Blender's directory menu is kind of weird, just to let you know. You don't ever double click on a folder to open it. You just click it once and it'll open up right away. But once you select the file, then you'll have to click open for that file. And now you might be wondering, wait, where is it? I can't actually see it in the viewport window. That's because the plane is sideways. You're going to want to click on the orange plane tab and look for rotate and X. You're going to enter 90 degrees to get to the reference facing us so you can actually see it. Hey look, it's a teeny tiny Jashawn. Let's make him a little bit bigger by using the scale tool on the left side, or just by dragging the corners like I do here. If your reference video is longer than 100 frames, you're going to go to your image tab. It used to be the empty bird foot tab before you added your reference. You're going to look for images and then frames, and you're going to click the refresh button, and Blender will then show all of the frames in the video. If your video is too long, however, you might want to trim it down because otherwise Blender is going to have a field day trying to process all of that information. For reference, my video is 30 seconds long. Now let's set up your canvas. We're going to add a grease pencil object, a blank one. In your scene collection, you can right-click on or double-click it to rename the object. I'm going to name it Jack, since he is the subject of my animation. I'm also renaming the reference image to reference because it's a reference. Yes, exactly. You got this. Whoa, what is this? I'm holding down the middle mouse button and dragging the mouse button around, and I'm looking at the project from a 3D perspective now because Blender also does 3D animation. If you're making a 3D model in Blender to use as reference, like sometimes I will set up the scene of my project in 3D and then draw it in 2D, this can be useful to help peek around the camera every so often so you can see where your grease pencil objects are. For me, I just want my Jack object to float a bit in front of the reference. That way the animation and reference don't clip over each other, which they can sometimes do if they're on the same plane. The reference will always be invisible in your render, but if you're trying to look at both of them at the same time, it can be confusing, so put a little space in between them. Once I have my grease pencil object where I want it, I press the 0 key on my number pad to go back to my camera's initial view. Now it's time to sketch. Instead of sketching in object mode, we're going to sketch in draw mode. That makes a little bit more sense, doesn't it? You can click on the materials tab on the right menu to see what you are drawing with. You can manipulate the strength and the pen pressure and the size of your brush at the top of the viewport. And when I turn the perspective on again, you can see the stroke floats in front of the reference. I like to have the strength turned up all the way just to make sure that my lines are always consistent. Okay, so right now I'm making a little bit of a mistake here, and I'm just going to point it out to you now, and I'll come back to fixing it later because I'm stupid and I don't notice it for a minute. But in the timeline, you will see I named the group Jack, and this is actually an automatically generated grease pencil object that came with the 2D animation preset that we clicked at the very beginning. So you can see that it's named Stroke in the Scene Collection tab on the right. I'm going to fix this here in a second, and I'm going to rename the proper layers, Jack and Sketch and Fills and whatever. You'll see that in a minute. But first, my stinky brain is going to choose a different color for my sketch layer. It's important to sketch on a different color so that it stands out from your final line work and shapes. Here, I'm trying to figure out what my animated version of Jack is going to look like. I decided to go with a rounder Animal Crossing-like style with a triangle nose and a chubby little face. Also, those glasses are a pain in the ass to draw. Especially when I'm trying to fit them onto this wider face. So he's wider than my reference and it's throwing me off a little bit. In order for him to be more expressive, though, I raised his eyebrows to be above his glasses. So this is where I catch my mistake. In the timeline, I found a new GP layer, grease pencil layer, in an unnamed group, and that group is in the Jack grease pencil object that we made earlier. So this appears automatically if you start drawing in a new grease pencil object that doesn't have any layers in it. So this is the actual sketch layer in my Jack grease pencil object, and I renamed them accordingly. If you get confused as to what layer or object you are drawing in, you can always turn on and off layer or object's visibility by clicking on the little eye icon. Okay, so you can now see me open the Layers tab on the right, and it will show every layer in the grease pencil object you have selected. I'm adding one more layer here, a fills layer, that you will also see in the timeline. So now it's time to draw your first frame in the animation. For my animation, I'm not going to be using much line art, and I'm going to focus on fill shapes. So it's time for me to choose the colors that my shapes are going to be. In the Materials tab, I click on the plus icon and New Material button. Make sure you choose whether or not you want this material to be a stroke or a fill or both. But don't worry, you can always change this later. I'm going to choose fill because that's what I'm using. I'm using fills. You can even change the colors later as well. So if you've done your entire project in one color, you can always go back and change it in a snap. Easy peasy. From here, it's just a matter of drawing and coloring the first frame of your animation just the way you want it, setting the tone and feel, the level of detail that you want. If you're working on a more elaborate or long-term project, I'd suggest doing this visual development step before or as you storyboard your scene. I'm just doing something on the fly here because this isn't going to be the most polished project. It's just a quick little 30-second fun thing I wanted to do. At this point, as you can see, yikes, I've reached a problem with Jack's glasses because glasses, I don't know if you noticed, but you see through them. So they've got to be transparent. And all the fills that I'm using are solid. So what am I going to do? Well, for now, I'm going to ignore it, I guess. But you'll notice that I'm intentionally avoiding that and his beard because, oh my god, I don't know what to do and I'm stressing out just a little bit. But after putting in his eyebrows and his gauge, I get an idea for the glasses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw his glasses filled in like sunglasses and then add his skin and his eyes back over on top of them. Okay, so sometimes you can't always get a shape or line to look just the way you want it to. Like Jack's wonky ass glasses here. Oh my god, they're kind of not great. And in order to fix his glasses, we're going to use the sculpt mode. So you're going to go from drawing mode to sculpt mode. If you have certain shapes or colors you don't want to move accidentally with the sculpt tool, you can lock them in the layers or materials tab. I lock the colors a lot because I want to move just certain little bits on top of his face. If I lock the skin, then I can move the nose around and the sunglasses around, which aren't sunglasses, they're going to be glasses, but staring at them, I think that they're sunglasses. Stupid brain. But anyway, locking the colors will let you choose just specific areas that you want to move at one time. So I've locked everything except for his glasses, which are the same color as his shirt and his gauge, so those can also move around. Just be careful when you're pushing around objects. And in order to move them, you're going to choose the push tool, which is on the left side. You can change the size and strength of this brush at the top too. And I'm going to zoom in and make sure to get the shapes just right. You can see 3 little buttons by your little compass rose. That's the camera, the pan tool, and the zoom. If you click the zoom and you drag your mouse forward or back, you'll zoom in and out. You can also grab the hand and move your mouse around, and that will pan the camera around the canvas. You might notice, as you're pushing and pulling shapes around, that your lines and edges kind of look all wobbly and gross, and you just hate them, and they're squiggly, and you don't know what to do about that. So sculpt mode has a solution for that too. You can use the smooth brush tool. That's the top tool on the left bar. Dragging this brush over edges and lines drags the points of your vector shape or line into a uniform line. You just got to be careful of using it too much because you can lose the roundness of a shape, and if you have a circle, you might straighten out bits of it so that it tapers into a point, which is kind of yikes. So you can see me here smoothing out all the edges of the shapes now after unlocking all of my materials again. If there's a certain area that I don't want to smooth, I'll just lock that again and smooth everything else out. You can see as I'm smoothing that Jack's gauge on his ear gets a little taper as I smooth it. And that was kind of annoying. But by going back into the brush, the push brush, and making that brush really, really small, I can push the points of the circle around to put it back into place. Unfortunately, I still don't like the way that it looks after pushing it around using the brush tool, so I end up deleting the gauge by going into the edit menu. So going from sculpt now to edit. I make sure that all of the nearby materials that aren't the gauge are locked. So the skin, the nose, the hair, all of those are locked. And I use the selection tool, which is the top tool, right where the smooth brush used to be. And I can choose a rectangle or a lasso. I'm just using the rectangle because it's simple. And I just select the area where the gauge is. I press the delete button on my keyboard and click points, and that will delete the points and it will delete the material there. So now, with the gauge gone, I can redraw it again by moving out of the edit menu and back into the draw menu. Like I said before, to give the illusion of transparency, I'm drawing Jack's eyes and skin back over his glasses. For this project, the only time I'm using a stroke is to draw his eyes, and I can sculpt and smooth these lines as well. To further put off drawing his beard, I give Jack some eyelashes because, let's be honest, Jack has beautiful eyelashes. Oh my god, so cute. Okay, the moment has arrived. It's beard time. I'm gonna start with some ugly ass mutton chop sideburn shapes and try not to throw up at my lack of confidence. Ha! How the fuck am I supposed to deal with the thinner patches of his beard? I don't know, sis. I'm freaking out. But at this point, panic mode has engaged, and when panic mode engages, we draw a skinny little ugly cowboy mustache on your boy. So I end up going back into sculpt mode and trying to widen it out and push it along with the beard, and this is where sometimes the sculpt mode gets complicated when you're accidentally pushing around things that are the same color, and it's not a fun time, and it takes me a minute to adjust and get all the points exactly where I need them to be. But don't freak out like I am right now, like I was when I was doing it. Just take your time, zoom in, get those little details into place. If it's harder than you think it should be, you can always add another layer to your grease pencil object so that you can just draw like either like the mustache on top, and I'm saying mustache, but this could be anything that's of a similar color, or you can just draw it over again. You don't have to push the things around all at once. Kind of a nightmare. Ugh. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. Anyway, after some finagling, we finally get it in decent shape. Also, guys, be sure to name your materials. Better late than never, right? Also, save! Save often! Don't wait 30 minutes like I have just now. I am literally just saving for the first time after working for 30 minutes. If Blender crashed or something, where would I be? I'd be 30 minutes behind on my work. No thank you. So the final thing I'm going to show you guys in this video is the little cloak I'm making Jack wear. Not for his brand or anything, but I wanted the video to be kind of cryptic and goofy. That's the style of the animation that I'm making. It's kind of cutesy, spoopy, whatever business going on. In order to leave a hollow space for his face to reside in, I drew the cloak in two parts, overlapping at the top and the bottom. So where it meets around his neck and above his head, the hoodie part. I then sculpted the shape so that it covers and reveals what I want. So I kind of covered up his fluffy hair, but that's okay because we'll see it later in other animations that I've done. And for now, that's it. That is the first frame done in my Blender animation. It was kind of a lot to set up, but now that we have all the information from the first frame, the actual animating of the rest of this scene will go by pretty quickly. That, however, is going to have to wait for another video. If you want to see more tutorial videos like this, why not subscribe? You can also leave a like if you want. That'd be cool. I'll leave a link to Jack's video and my final animation in the description if you want to check them out. But that is it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.